Oh, there it is. It came on Friday after Matthew Stafford and the Rams got together Friday morning. And it didn't take very long from the meeting to the leak to the announcement that he's going to stay. And look, this is as simple as, in hindsight, Matthew Stafford wanting a certain amount of money, the Rams willing to pay him a significantly lesser amount of money, and the Rams basically saying, go see if somebody else out there will pay you closer to what you want, and if there is, and they're willing to trade for you, then we'll talk.
So guys, this morning I woke up and randomly I just thought of the most genius trade ever for the Rams. They just re-signed Matthew Stafford, and they really are one of the sleeper teams that could win a Super Bowl in 2025. I think the defense is coming together. Obviously 2024 was just a weird season, but I think the Rams are one edge rusher away from being a true contender again. And guess who's available right now? If you guessed Myles Garrett, then you would be right. And if you saw the thumbnail, you probably know what I'm going to say, and you may think I'm crazy, but hear me out. The Rams have $45 million in cap space, and they could potentially land Myles Garrett just from being willing to take on Deshaun Watson's contract and eat it after cutting him. If the Rams traded for Garrett and Watson, it literally would be a win-win for both parties in this trade. The Browns would get to reset, and the Rams would get a Hall of Fame pass rusher without giving up any assets. It's literally genius, and I'm surprised more people are not talking about it. Obviously, making a trade like this would pretty much limit the Rams from doing anything else in free agency, but I don't think you're going to get anything close to Garrett on the market. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about this in the comments below. Obviously, things would have to be worked out with the financials, but just saying something like this gets me going, because who would even think of this? I'm just a nerdy Browns fan though, and the idea of getting rid of Watson gets me going no matter how it has to be done. And like I said, this trade would just be a huge win-win for both sides. So in this video, I want to talk all about that trade possibility, along with all the other Rams rumors swirling around right now. I want to talk about the draft, the Stafford signing, and so much more. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Alright, so I'm not going to talk about the Garrett Watson trade anymore, because it is just a hypothetical. It's a genius hypothetical, but it is just a hypothetical. And the Rams, as we all found out over the weekend, will be locked in with Matthew Stafford for the near future. And they are counting on him to get them back to the promised land once again. I thought this was the right decision. I think Stafford still has a lot left in the tank. He's one of those QBs that can still succeed even as he gets older. And like I said, 2024 was just a weird year. Now, the weapons around him is definitely where things get interesting, because Cooper Kupp is more than likely going to be traded, but I mean, with Puka Nacua, who is going to be healthy coming into 2025, I think all the Rams got to do is sign one more playmaker. Maybe try to hit on a late rounder in the draft, and they will be set, because Demarcus Robinson is not awful, and I love the Rams backfield. Anyways, moving on, let's look at the draft, because making the right pick really could be huge, and would go a long way for what the Rams could do in 2025. And there are tons of reports coming out about the players the front office are eyeing up. And I think the needs are obvious. If Kupp is out the door, the Rams need playmakers, they need weapons. And with the 26th pick in the draft, the Rams are in the perfect position to land Emeka Egbuka from the Ohio State University. I think he is a perfect fit. He's played a lot in college, so he's older with experience. He already has an NFL frame, and he is one of the most consistent receivers that you will ever see. He definitely had an extremely underrated career at OSU. Nobody puts him on the same tier as Marvin Harrison or Garrett Wilson, or really any of those Buckeye legends, but statistically, he was just as good as all those guys throughout his college career. At Ohio State last season, in that national championship run, he put up 1,081 yards with 10 touchdowns, and like I said, he just did whatever the coaching staff asked him to do. Whether it was blocking, taking away a defender for another guy, he is a winner. He would be the perfect guy for the Rams to go get on a cheap rookie contract to replace Cooper Kupp, and honestly, if I'm the Rams, I would even trade up to get him if they sense any doubt that he could get taken before their pick. Next up in the 3rd round, this one may be controversial, but this is a pick the Rams would make considering their future. Obviously, you only make this pick if you land Ibuka in the first round, but I do not think it would be a bad idea at all to draft Quinn Ewers and let him sit behind Stafford for a few seasons to learn everything about the NFL. And then when Stafford's time is up, the Rams have the next guy in line. I know this may feel like a waste of a pick, but so many times we see teams disregard their future and it comes back to haunt them, and it's never a bad thing to have a good backup QB as well. Moving on to the later rounds, obviously these are a toss-up and basically impossible to predict, but let's just have some fun. Why not? At pick 126, I like Jeffrey Besa, a linebacker from Oregon. He was ranked as the 31st best safety in the nation, and standing at 6'2" and 235 pounds, he has good enough upside to be taken this late. And then in the 6th round, I could see the Rams trying to add some depth on the O-line, and I like Connor Colby from Iowa. Looking at the defense, as I mentioned earlier, I really do think the Rams have some studs, and everything is going to come together. They got Kobe Turner, Byron Young, Jared Verse, so many guys that I could name, but as for the whole entire point of this video, everything changes if Myles Garrett becomes a Ram. And I know I've talked about him a lot, but let me actually talk about some of the numbers to prove why he is just that guy. He has had over 14 sacks for each of the last 4 seasons. 2 of those seasons he had 16, and those numbers barely even scratch the surface of showing his impact on the field, because he gets doubled, and I'm not even kidding you, tripled sometimes. Like, the dude just opens up opportunities for everyone else. The Browns just couldn't capitalize because they are a pathetic franchise, unfortunately, but that's a subject for another day. But if the Rams get Garrett, they build up a little more depth through the draft, they get something for Kupp, all of a sudden, this team is looking a lot better than last season, and Matthew Stafford is a guy that consistently throws for around 4,000 yards a season, and he is definitely looking to improve upon the 20-8 touchdown to interception ratio that he had in 2024. Anyways, moving on, now to talk about more news, because according to Sean McVay, the full expectations are that Tyler Higbee and Rob Havenstein will be back in 2025. Those guys are instrumental to our success, McVay said. Those are guys that I thought both of them played at a very high level. Obviously, there were injuries that both worked through, but when those guys were on the football field for us, we were a different offense. As McVay pointed out, although Havenstein missed 4 games due to ankle injuries and another 2 to a shoulder injury last season, the 32-year-old right tackle allowed just 12 hurries, 5 quarterback hits, and 3 sacks in 11 regular season games. All of those were starts. The 32-year-old Higbee, meanwhile, returned from a major knee injury to record 8 receptions for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns, one of which came in his 2024 season debut and first game back from injury. In 2 regular season games, he added 2 receptions for 15 yards across LA's 2 playoff games. You could tangibly feel the difference that Higbee made when he came back from the Jets game, and then obviously when Rob was in there, the leadership, the production, the overall toughness, competitiveness, he was outstanding, McVay said. Both of those guys we fully expect back. So that's kind of what's going on with this team right now. I'm definitely curious to hear what you guys thought about them re-signing Matthew Stafford and what you think about my genius trade idea to land Myles Garrett. That's really all I had to say for this video. If you made it to this point, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you'd like to see next. Until then, I will see you all later.